I'm going to talk you about the term communicative competence. And as you can see, this term is confirmed by two different words, communicative and competence. And it refers to the competence to communicative in a language. First of all, I want to give you the definition of this term. You should know that there are more than one author who gave their own definition about it. First, we have Chomsky. He points out that there is difference between competence and performance. Competence for Chomsky is the knowledge of a language that someone has, while performance is how the person use that knowledge to communicative in a real life situation. However, there are more definitions that came from other authors, such as Himes. Himes tells us that communicative competence is a combination of inherent grammatical competence and the ability to use it to communicative in different situations. Then we have Williamson, for example. He said that communicative competence is the ability to use the knowledge as a means of creating meaning in a language. The last definition is from Canal and Swan. They tell us that communicative competence refers to the set of knowledge and skill to communicative something. It's more like a general thing. So we can conclude that communicative competence is not only have the knowledge of any language, but it's also know how to use it to communicate with other people that speak the same language. Now we are going to move on to the models of communicative competence. There are three different models. The first model is from Swim and Canal. Then we have the model of Bachman and Palmer. And finally, we have the descriptions of components of communicative language competence in the Common European Framework. First, we are going to focus only of the model which was proposed by Swim and Canal. This model has three different components. There are grammatical, strategic, and discourse competence. The first one, grammatical competence, is also known as linguistic competence, and it refers to the use of the linguistic code. For instance, vocabulary, the knowledge of morphology, phonetic, semantic, and orthographic rules, and so on. The grammatical competence allows to the user of the language to communicate and understand the literal meaning of a sentence. Then we have the discourse competence. This competence refers the speaker of a language is able to choose the appropriate vocabulary, the appropriate sentence and utterance for each context in which he or she wants to speak or write. For example, we want to speak or write to the principal of a school at the same way that we speak or we write a message to our friends. Then we have this strategic competence. Okay, this competence refers that to the ability to overcome difficulties when communication breakdowns occurs. They tell us that we can paraphrase, we can make repetitions or change the style, etc. But they tell us that it's more than cognitive aspects. Strategic is have self-confidence to speak, to take the risk to do it. And strategic competence helps us to improve effectiveness and efficiency of how we use the language. Now we will check the model designed by Palmer and Bachman. They consider two main points of communicative competence for their model, and they are language knowledge and strategic competence. Language knowledge takes account different groups of knowledge, such as morphology, phonology, syntax, and graphology. And strategic competence make possible that the speak of a language know how she or he uses his or her skills to learn and to use in a language. For Palmer and Bachman, pragmatic knowledge means the ability that someone has to create and interpret a variety of speeches. Okay, they consider two different groups. They are function knowledge and sociolinguistic competence. The first one means that use acceptable forms of a language to express and to interpret different discourses. Okay, and the second one, that is sociolinguistic competence, is this refers that the manner of how someone communicative appropriately in different contexts. Finally, we have the last model in Common European Framework. This model wants to consider a specific assessment for learning and teaching of a language. Okay, and this model only considers terms of knowledge and includes only three elements. That is linguistic, pragmatic, and sociolinguistic competence. Okay, the first one, that is linguistic competence, refers to use the knowledge and the ability to apply successfully to form a message. Okay, this the linguistic competence has subcomponents, and there are lexical, grammatical, semantic, phonological, and orthographic competence. And sociolinguistic competence refers that the user of the language has the knowledge to know how to use the language in a specific context or a specific situation to communicate successfully. Then pragmatic competence has two subcomponents. There is discourse and functional competence. Okay, in this case, both of them refer to the sequence of messages in accordance with interactional and intersectional schemata. As we can realize, there are many similitudes not only in the definitions of the different authors, but in the components of the model. So we have to know how to use language to communicative accuracy with when we are in a special or in a specific context, to say that we are learning and we are applying the language successfully.